Seekers of Skyveil is a multiplayer team-based PvP game with a twist. And today we're going to take a deep dive into whether I think it's a great game, a good game, or a bad game. So let's start off with what is the actual game. So the game is kind of like League of Legends and Escape from Tarkov had a baby. You start off by choosing your Seeker that you are going to take onto the battlefield, and then you queue up and you're ready for the match. Now for your first match, you're not going to have a lot of gear to go through because you haven't played the game and you haven't gotten any gear yet. So with that said, you're just going to have one basic loadout, but they do give you some gear to start. That's also another thing that sets this game apart, which I'll mention later. Once you start the match, you are plopped right into the world, and it's not very difficult to get your bearings because one, the map isn't very large, and it's also not very small. You're not stepping on other people's toes, and people aren't hunting you down like a wild dog in order to track you down and kill you. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty, what you want to know, and that is whether or not the game is great, good, or just bad. I played for a whopping 4 hours, so the entirety of this playtest, and let me tell you, as a new player, it was just fun. There was not a moment that went by where I hated the game or I thought it didn't make sense. This just is a cohesive and fun game to play. The fact that you can collect gear inside of the match, and as long as you successfully extract, you get to keep that gear and use it for other matches, that is just an amazing mechanic that I think should be implemented in other games that are kind of like this, which I know, yes, that is an Escape from Tarkov type feature, but for a game that kind of has a MOBA feel, this is definitely an awesome feature to add, and it was nice to be able to like collect this gear and bring it with me to the next match and feel like I had some form of upper hand, even though you absolutely do not. And you lose that gear if you die. If you get killed in another match, you lose your gear, and it's heartbreaking, but it just makes you want to keep playing because now you want the better gear. You want the blue gear instead of the green, and then you want the purple gear. So when you lose that gear, it just kind of puts your brain into like overdrive, where instead of wanting to quit because you died, you want to get out there and get better gear so that that doesn't happen to you again. Not only can you loot gear from in-game, but you can also craft gear, which is another really cool mechanic. You can buy gear, which is pretty mid buying the gear. It's just kind of get you going. But the crafted gear is definitely a great way to get started in order to really be putting out some damage and doing your best in the matches. You can also find gems, and you can purchase gems that you can slot into specific gear that has gem slots. So you can add things like more health, you can give yourself a boost of damage, whether that's physical or magic, and it just helps give you that extra boost that you need in order to get by in the next match. Another really cool feature is the wishing well, and I don't think I got any kind of footage of this, which I apologize for, but the wishing well is a place that you can run to inside of the map once you're in the match, and you can take 3 pieces of a selected color gear. So green gear, you would need 3 pieces of green gear, and you can possibly get a blue piece from putting in 3 pieces of that green gear, and if you use 3 blues, you possibly get a purple. So this is a really cool feature just because now you have even more of an upper hand to go to chests and grab 3 pieces of gear and bring it to that wishing well to possibly get an insane upgrade. Speaking of chests, that is one of my major complaints. Chests are shared. So if you open a chest and somebody runs up behind you, they can just take everything out of the chest and leave you with nothing, especially if you're taking a second to kind of read the attributes and see if it's an upgrade, or you're fighting a mob and somebody runs and opens a chest. Now, while I understand that some people aren't just going to run up and take everything for themselves, a lot of people seem to have done that to me, at least in my beginning matches. As time went on and people had better gear, they stopped doing that for the most part, but I think that definitely that is a feature that is a little bit unfair, that if you are fighting something, they can just run up and take anything out of the chests and leave you with nothing, and you don't even get a chance to see what was in there. And in the beginning, there is a chest that you get to loot right when the match starts that gives you a consumable, and everyone gets one, and that's fair. But I think that having these chests be for everybody kind of creates an imbalance if somebody happens to get to them first, or if you're reading something and someone comes up and opens it behind you while you're inside the chest already, they can just take everything and leave you with nothing. Now, to get to the extraction part of things, so when you're ready to leave the map, this is one thing that in the beginning I didn't fully understand and I didn't really like at first. And let me explain why. When you start the match, you know that you're going in to extract, but sometimes people just run in, open chests, grab gear, and extract. And if they do that and they're on your team, then you're left by yourself. But as progress was made and people got more gear, that stopped happening as much. And I think that that's just going to be the case with the playtests because people aren't going to have their gear, right? So I think that when the game fully launches or goes into beta, that's not going to be as much of a problem. So this is probably just something that's going to be an issue during testing. But that definitely was something that felt a little bit odd to me, was that you can just run in, grab some good gear from the chests if you know where the chests are located, and if you kill some of the good mobs and get some of the better chests, and then just leave and extract. And that is a good feature, that you can just run in, grab grab gear and go. But I think for a new player not understanding, like, wait, I didn't even see another player to engage in PvP, that can be kind of confusing for somebody new like me, who I had no idea. Like, I thought we were going to go in, you run down, you get some chests, and then you go and kill people. And sometimes that just wasn't the case. People were going in, grabbing the chests, and then going to the extraction points on the map, and then leaving. And then you're left by yourself if you don't extract with them, which gives you a severe disadvantage against a full team. The gameplay itself is just so much fun. It's chaotic, it's hectic, it's stressful. It really does scratch that MOBA itch, but also gives you like an RPG type feel with the ability to keep your gear and bring it to the next match, to be able to put gems inside of your gear to make it better. Overall, if I had to give this a 1 through 10 rating, I am going to give this game easily an 8.5 or a 9. The only reason I would say that I'm leaning more towards 8.5 is just because of the balance right now. But again, it is in such early stages that I am not concerned about this doing well in the future and them fixing these problems. And I wouldn't even call them problems. These are normal development things that they have to go through, they have to tweak, and they need the feedback, which is why they're doing the playtests. So to give it a solid rating and not bounce back and forth, I'm going to give Seekers of Skyveil a 9 out of 10. It's overall just so much, I can't say this enough, it's so much fun to play, and if you haven't had a chance to do one of their playtests, I would absolutely recommend signing up and trying to get in, because if it's this good now, I can only imagine what it's going to look like on launch day, and I'm so excited to be a part of that now. With all of that said, is Seekers of Skyveil great, good, or bad? And I'm going to say it is great. Join the Discord, learn when the playtests are, sign up for the playtest, and hope you get in, because honestly, this game deserves a lot more hype than it's getting, and I think that this easily could be one of the greatest games that's coming. Even though we don't know when, there's no release date as of yet, but this could be another very great game like Dota, like League, like Tarkov. This could be up there with those games, 100%. And that's going to do it for this video. As always, if you like the video, then like the video. And if you like my content in general, then please subscribe to my channel, because it means the absolute world to me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!
An elite chest has been opened. An elite chest has been opened.